tell you something. Last night in the debate, during one of the breaks, two of the breaks, he went backstage. He was having a meltdown. First, he had this little makeup thing, applying, like, makeup around his mustache, because he had one of those sweat mustaches. Then he asked for a full-length mirror. I don't know why, because the podium goes up to here, but he wanted a full-length mirror. Maybe to make sure his pants weren't wet. I don't know.
And so it went, and it looked like the wind was at Marco Rubio's back from great reviews of the debate last night, and then this sudden, stunning development, a great salvo return on the part of Donald Trump. Chris Christie is backing it for president of the United States. Many are saying it is a seminal event in this race. Newt Gingrich tweeting today that Chris Christie endorsement of Trump is a real signal to the GOP establishment that they had better begin thinking about Trump as the future. Noelle, Nikpour is here, the Federalist, Mollie, Hemingway as well, and Lizzie MacDonald. Mollie, what does this mean now? How does this change things, or does it?
Well, really the only thing it does is helps him this news cycle. Donald Trump had a horrible debate performance last night. Everybody knew it. Both Marco Rubio and Ted Cruz landed serious punches about his lack of knowledge about policy. He was flailing. His own insults weren't funny. They didn't land. He had a really bad night. So anybody who's been paying even the slightest bit of attention to this cycle knew that by 10 a.m. or so, he would do something outlandish. So this is his best effort, and it's good. It does change the news cycle. But I'm not entirely sure Chris Christie is that helpful. And he's another kind of liberal, authoritarian bully who likes to sabotage conservatives in the Republican Party. It's not exactly going to help him, except that it shows us or reminds us who Chris Christie is, how craven he is, maybe that Donald Trump has information on him, that sort of thing.
Well, it's a little brazen, but
No, I think it's not. Actually, if Donald Trump is willing to go after people who criticize him by threatening him, we have to at least entertain the possibility that he's also going after people in order to get their support. It works both ways, offensively and defensively.
I think
and everybody knows that Chris Christie has a ton of skeletons in his closet.
You have no proof of any of that. So
I'm just saying we should, of course, entertain the possibility.
Careful. All right, Noelle, what I want to ask you, though, is what this does mean, because one valid point I think Mollie raises is, look, Chris Christie is not exactly uber popular in his state. He left this presidential race just right after you're just ripping apart Marco Rubio. And it's Marco Rubio still a contender, and he is a former contender. So you could argue, to Mollie's point, that conservatives are never satisfied with either of these guys, or you could take it to the next level. This is Donald Trump's race to lose. Conservatives, you have to get over it. These are the new sheriffs in town, maybe the new ticket in town. What do you think?
You know what? It may be the new ticket in town, but I'm going to tell you one thing that people are forgetting about. This could be a game changer, Neil, for one reason and one reason only. I look at the money. And there is one big donor that Chris Christie is very close to. He opened up his home for the first time in California to do a huge fundraiser at his personal home, and that's Mark Zuckerberg. That is a big donor, and that is someone that has been in
didn't help out
Chris Christie's.
He didn't help him out.
Well, but I'll tell you what, he does have access to him, and we don't know what he's thinking, and to my knowledge, I could be wrong, but to my knowledge, as of yet, he has not jumped in behind anybody with his money. So this could be a very interesting introduction that Christie could take Trump to. So this is something that I don't think anyone's thought of, are some of the connections that Chris Christie does have. Maybe they haven't supported him, maybe they're not doing anything, but that doesn't mean that he can't make the introduction.
Liz, for money and donors and support, it's not that Donald Trump needs that, but it's as much, I think, to Noelle's point, about stalling donors who might be running to alternative candidates, right?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. That, in other words, what we're talking about now is momentum going into Super Tuesday. You know, we don't see a lot of endorsements right now. This is a shock and it's a surprise that Chris Christie came out in front of Super Tuesday. You usually see the endorsements rolling in after that, and possibly then the money starts rolling in after that. It is a good question whether Chris Christie will open the money taps. But, you know, one thing, another important point of this, too, is that any time that a candidate like Rubio today, look, you're right, Rubio looked like, hey, he's gaining ground. He is throwing sucker punches and jabs and right hooks at Donald Trump. Donald Trump has done this time and again. Ben Carson was rising in the polls. Trump comes out, picks out unsavory aspects of his autobiography to knock Ben Carson. Ted Cruz rising in the polls. Trump said, you know what, I'm going to sue him. He's a liar. Went after him and questioned him on his evangelical Christianity. So you're right. This just rip out the headline for Rubio. He looked like the internet was like, wow, Rubio, what a performance. But now I think Donald Trump just stole his thunder.
Yeah.